I'd like to point out the source audio pedal that we do have in here. Multiwave bass distortion, something I've become a fan of the last few years. It's really, really flexible. It gives you the opportunity to get virtually any sound, distorted, clean, or anywhere in between. And I'm a particular fan of the clean boost setting on this unit, and I use that for all of my bass sounds. And some of you may know that I work for other bass players as well, and we've incorporated this pedal very nicely every time.
What kind of distorted sounds are you using?
The distorted sounds that we use currently are sounds that I can only describe as over the top, and surprisingly enough, we worked very, very hard for a long time trying to pull a sound together that I was hearing in my head, and it was nothing like what Tom was hearing in his head. I was coming at it from more of a vintage, sort of overdriven amp and speaker sound, whereas he was thinking something just totally bombastic and fuzzy and just way more distortion than I ever anticipated. Over the top, overly fuzzy, but we still retain the integrity of the bass itself. We don't lose any of the fundamental, which is important when you're distorting bass to the level that we're doing. We'll hear it in under the guitar solo in Last Child. In and out repeatedly in Train Kept A-Rollin', under all the guitar solos in Train Kept A-Rollin', of which there are many. Off the top of my head, this is a set list left over from our last show. Sweet Emotion at the end, that big long outro at Sweet Emotion, the big bombastic outro, is also that over-the-top distortion sound. And believe it or not, it doesn't get lost, and it doesn't overpower at the same time. It lays in very, very nicely. So when that song occurs as the band are playing, you hear it by itself, and it's you want to run and hide. But the minute it's incorporated into the mix with everything else that's going on out there, it makes it that big. You know, it just makes it really, really big, and adds a certain texture and a flavor to it that when you go back and you listen to the older records and you hear some of these parts that I'm talking about, such as underneath the guitar solo in Last Child, you'll hear a distorted bass that I never noticed before, and so we're emulating some of those vintage parts, but on a much more bombastic level.
What else do you have going on in here?
Well, the heart of our bass system, and again, something that I've become a huge fan of the last few years, are the new GK products, Fusion 550 amplifier, and the neodymium cabinets that they have to go along with them. And this is a departure for them. They use 12AX7 preamp tubes now in these. So you get a little bit more of the squishy, responsive, dynamic feel that you would expect from a tube amp, but the back end, being the efficient MOSFET that it is, gives you an unbelievable amount of output headroom. And I think I can count on one hand the times that Tom has asked me to turn this rig up, but I can tell you he's asked me to turn it down a lot. It's got a biamp output. It has a 500 watt output that goes to the 410s or the 412s depending on which cabinet. And then it has a 50 watt amplifier built in that splits to the horn. And the speaker cables are 4 conductor cables, so you can control the output to the horn independently of the output volume. So that means basically you'll never blow the horn up. I use these with Rick Savage, with Def Leppard as well. So that and the Soundblox pedals are things that I've sort of taken along with me, and with very great results.